Hello friends, so today's story is the room number 465. There's an old hotel on the outskirts of the city, a once grand building now faded with time. Despite its weathered exterior, travelers still check in, drawn by the charm of its antique decor and whispers of ghost stories that float through the hallways. But there's one room hidden at the end of a long, dim corridor that number no guest is ever placed in. Room number 465. For years, the door to room 465 remained locked, and the staff avoided it, brushing off questions from curious guests. But every so often, someone would ask why the room wasn't available. Most suggested it's off. But those who knew the truth would simply stutter and say it's better not to ask. One rainy evening, a businessman named David checked into the hotel. His trip had been long and he was desperate for rest. As he approached the front desk, the receptionist handed him his key. "We are a bit full tonight," she said hesitantly, "but we have one room available, room 465, if you don't mind, of course." David didn't care about the room number. He just wanted to sleep. "Sure," he replied. "I'll take it." The receptionist hesitated again before handing him the key. Her eyes seemed to linger on his face, but she said nothing more. As David made his way up to the fourth floor, the hotel seemed to grow quieter. The carpet muffled his footsteps, and the dim lightning cast easier shadows along the walls. When he reached room 465, he noticed the door locked, different from the others, slightly older with deep scratches near the handle, as though someone had tried to claw their way out. Brushing off the unsettling ceilings, David unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room itself was unremarkable. Faded wallpapers, a single bed, and an old-fashioned desk. But the air felt heavy, like the room was holding its breath. Ignoring the strange atmosphere, David collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. As he lay there, drifting in and out of sleep, he heard a faint sound. At first, it was just a whisper, too soft to make out. But as the minutes passed, the whispers grew louder, filling the room with incoherent muttering. Startled, David sat up, scanning the room for the source of noise. But there was no one there. "Hello," he called out, his voice shaky. The whisper stopped. Convinced it was just his imagination, he lay back down, but as soon as his head hit the pillow, the whispers returned. This time louder, more urgent, and then came the unmistakable sound of footsteps, soft, deliberate, as though someone was passing just outside his door. David heard, raised. He got up and opened the door, but the hallway was empty. He slammed the door shut, his pulse quickening. Suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped, and he could see his breath hanging in the air. The whispers had turned into a low growl, filling the space around him. David grabbed his phone to call the front desk, but his screen flickered, showing static. The lights in the room began to dim, and then total darkness. In the pitch black silence, David heard a creak. The floorboard near the bed shifted as though someone was standing there watching him. Paralyzed with fear, he couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then a cold hand brushed against his shoulder. David shouted out of the room and down the hallway, not stopping until he reached the lobby. He demanded atmosphere around, refusing. It turned room to room 465. The receptionist looked at him with knowing expression. "I am sorry," she said quickly. "We shouldn't have given you that room." The next morning, David left the hotel without looking back. Before he drove away, he asked the receptionist about the room. "Years ago," she began, "a man stayed in the room 465. He complained the strange voice in the night. The staff didn't believe him. One morning, we found him dead in the room, his face twisted in terrors, no sign of what had caused it. Since then, anyone who stays in the room feels something happening. Some say it's a spirit, still trapped in there. Others say it's something far worse." David never spoke of this experience again, but those who visit the hotel still avoid room 465, knowing that whatever haunts that room is still there, waiting for the next guest to listen to its whispers.